Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. This is True Crime in the Morning. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos. You can call me Sleuth. Today we will be discussing the Joshua Maddux case. Good to see you, Speculation, GP, and KDO. Good morning, everybody. And we'll get going here in just a few minutes. 9 to be exact. What's up, Kevin? Good morning, Slurth. This case is wild. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, that's my new name. Slurth. What's up, Slatherings? What's up, Wanda? So are you guys familiar with this case? It was actually Julia Burns who brought it to my attention. She's a member of the channel. But once I typed it in, I see here that a lot of the YouTubers that I like have covered this case. But there's not a lot of local media coverage. And I did spend some time looking online to see if there's anybody who spent time trying to prove how it was an accident. So right now, Joshua Maddux went missing in 2008. 7 years later, he was found in the chimney of a cabin just 2 blocks from his home. So he had been in this cabin for over in this chimney for over 7 years. The official story is that he climbed down the chimney and got stuck trying to access the cabin. But when you really spend time looking at the details and the facts, talking with the cabin owner, some of the details of the crime scene, it really makes you wonder if this was an accident or if it was murder. So what I want to do with help from you guys is, as we go through these articles, try to gather all these details, because we're going to try to put the pieces together at the end. For instance, they say he was stuck in the chimney. His knees were above his head, and his feet were pointing down, and his legs were dislodged. Now, I don't know, does that mean dislocated or dislodged from something? Good to see you, Beth. Metal Mama, what's up? How you doing? Sparky, Julia. Hey, there's Julia. So good call with this case, Julia. Appreciate it. Boston, good to see you. Donna. Slatherings, you're not familiar with this one? Now, this is another mind-melting mystery. I'm leaning towards that he was murdered, and they actually have a POI that we'll spend probably the last half of the live stream discussing this person. Because in my opinion, he was shoved into the chimney from inside. But after we go over all the facts and the details of the case, I'll see where you guys stand on all of that. Sassy, I haven't heard anything on this case. Very interested. Thank you for your channel. Thank you, Sassy. That was nice. Cindy, what's going on? Good morning, Solar Chef Steph. Jerry, how are you? Good morning. Tattoo, good morning. Frank Meister, what's up? Sparky, how are you? Born and raised, and it's legal here. You guys talking about pot? The legalization of the Mary Jane? Sensei, yeah. Says it's really strange. Imagine being stuck in a chimney. Horrible. Claustrophobic. Yeah, if you're claustrophobic, wow, it's going to be a tough case to dive into. Good for you, Slatherings. That's how it was here in Arizona. And I actually wish it was that way. You know, we had better products back then. Potency was better. What's up, GP? Mar R, welcome. Good to see you. Sparky's asking, was his body burned? No, his body was not burned. When they found him, all he had on was a thin thermal long sleeve shirt, and he was completely naked from the waist down. There were no cuts on him, no stab wounds, no gunshot wounds. And I don't know if they commented on ligature marks, but the coroner ruled it was accidental. But the facts surrounding the case will say something else altogether. It looks like another lazy investigation is what it looks like to me. I'm just glad that they found his body. You know, imagine never finding him. I wonder how many fireplaces across the world are hiding secrets like this, or abandoned buildings, things like that. Deep wells. Here in Phoenix, they went and dug up a well just outside of town and found like 13 bodies. And then there was another time they emptied I guess it was like a small lake or a huge pond, however you want to say it, at a park in the middle of this bad neighborhood. They drained that and found some bodies in there too. What's up, Radar? Radar was listening to the podcast from afar and hears pot. What? That's how I am. Like Snoop Dogg in Half Baked, where he just pops out of nowhere. Oh yeah, that's why my eyes are so red. Then they were not using their fireplace. Well, Boston, this place was abandoned. It was like a cabin. The owner, nobody had lived there for like almost 10 years. The owner only stopped by from time to time. He was getting ready to knock it down anyway. He didn't care. And that's what they were doing when they found the body is he was getting ready to demolish it and put up something new. And I'll show you that, the before and after. Sparky says, weird. Why would they stuff him in a chimney? Well, the POI that we're going to talk about, apparently, Joshua Maddux was last seen with this person. And this last person, or the person that he was last seen with, had told somebody else, a mutual friend, that he had put Joshua in a hole. Well, before that, Joshua, well, this person was kind of talking about his relationship with Joshua and how they planned to move to New Mexico together. Well, instead of moving to New Mexico together, um, he was eventually found in a chimney, and this POI that we're going to discuss would go on to commit another heinous murder, like some real psychopath stuff. So if you put it all together, last seen with this person ended up going to New Mexico where they were rumored to be going together. And then when he gets to New Mexico, commits another heinous murder, like extremely violent, like psychopath, serial killer shit. Not even serial killer, more like psycho killer, just madman stuff. Yeah, completely naked from the waist down, and his clothes were found just outside the fireplace. And then on top of that, not only were his clothes found outside the fireplace, there was this huge piece of furniture that was ripped away from the wall and placed in front of the fireplace. All right, let's get into it here. Yeah, I don't know, Radar. I think he thought he was playing Santa or the Grinch or trying to break into this place. But the owner of the property says it was impossible. There's no way to access the chimney from above. That they had welded some rebar over the top to keep animals from entering. $7 years, Sparky. He said, "Hey guys, I'm going out for a walk." He was never seen again for 7 years. And then I believe in 2015, when they were getting ready to knock down this cabin, they found him. I drink well water. Yeah, cars, bodies, man, it was crazy. GP says, "We still to this day think that's what happened to my uncle. He was thrown into a well and filled in." Yep, for sure. These criminals, they know what they're doing. It's almost like it's nothing for them sometimes. I hope they find him, GP. So here's the cabin. This is how far they got. Um, there was kind of a decking or a room added on right here, and then another add-on back here that was demolished. So I'm not sure if this is the back of the fireplace where they removed him from, or if they went back inside and kind of opened it up. I found some images that say it's the fireplace, but there was no way for me to verify it. So apparently he was a musician. A lot of people thought he just went to go pursue a career in music. And the person I believe who may have killed him was also a musician. Radar says, where were his pants? Is it possible he tried to hide from somebody in the chimney? I'm not sure, but all of his clothes were just outside of the chimney. I thought maybe he was trying to make more room so he could kind of fit, so he took his clothes off. But then to come to find out, there was a piece of furniture placed in front of the fireplace. So they're saying, well, he would have had to go inside at one point, gain access, take off his clothes for whatever reason, and then go up into the fireplace. Or no, they're saying that somehow he went outside and then came in from above. That was their story. Went inside, took his clothes off, went outside, went on top of the cabin, and went in through the chimney. That's their story. Sorry if you guys can hear that. That's my dryer. Getting ready to go out of town, so we're doing all our laundry and shit. Yep, no drugs were in his system. Nothing at all. I don't know if there would be after that long. I don't know how that works, but for whatever it's worth. So it looks like he went missing May 8th, 2008. 6 feet tall, 150 pounds. So he wasn't small. Definitely narrow, but I wouldn't call him small. Yeah, GP, people don't just disappear. They're usually taken, murdered, and placed somewhere. Yeah, Marn trapped himself. We're going to look at some diagrams, some things that I've kind of put together. Pantless Santa, no mas pantalones. I'm bilingual. There's a difference. Hugh, he was looking for money hidden by the owner who had a bar there. What? Why wouldn't he just break in through the window? Just break in through the door. Break the door down. Yeah, it's not there anymore. It does seem pretty big if you were looking at it from the outside. But apparently there are bars over the top. Sparky, could it have been somebody that knew about this abandoned cabin? Yes, I believe that the person who, I think he was killed, honestly. And I think him and his friend, and I think his friend killed him, would meet here. I think they would work on music, kind of use it as a little jam spot. And maybe they were getting ready to head out. Maybe they're getting ready to run away. And he had some cash on him, maybe. And his friend took it, killed him, and took it. I don't know. Maybe there was even some sexual things going on, some secretive kind of things. Or maybe even a sexual assault. But why would he be hiding? There's his brother, Zachary Michael Albert, who had committed suicide, I believe, the year before. Yeah, 2006. And he was extremely close with his brother. So they thought maybe something like that could have happened as well. I don't know the details of what happened with Zachary. I don't know how he did it, what those circumstances were. But I guess it affected Josh quite a bit. Here's the back. But it is good that they found him and they were able to put him to rest like that. It's unfortunate to see these two boys gone in that under those circumstances. Yeah, I hope they find him, GP. Do you have any time of a recreation photo of the position of his body was found? The way they described it was having trouble visualizing. Yeah, I did put something together, and we'll look at that later. I have a chimney, and I got somebody in the fetal position, and we'll try to make sense of it. We'll play around with it a little bit. We'll do that towards the end. I want to go over all the case facts. Remember, guys, try to keep track of all these details, and we'll try to piece it all together. I don't think this is the chimney, but this is a chimney. And I think this was a case where somebody had gotten stuck in there and they had to get him out. But this could be the very one. I'm not sure if this is from the inside or not. Exactly, Radar. Hey, Melissa. Yep, vacation time. We're going to the mountains. I need to sight in my scope, and I want to get some fishing done. I sighted my scope in at home, like mathematically, but usually that'll just get you on the target. You got to get out there and really zero it in. I want to get it at least at 200 yards. Yeah, I couldn't find those details. But if you look here, where was that photo? Oh, yeah, I think it was this one. It looks like they may have taken him out right here. So I think he was just maybe right here somewhere, not too high. I'm not sure, though. Yeah, very strange. Okay, so I have 3 articles on Joshua Vernon Maddux. And then we're going to talk about this POI, Andrew Newman. Not in any particular order. This one is from Daily Mail. Let me share it with you guys up here. Lanky kid, 150 pounds, so he was definitely narrow. Maybe he thought he could fit, got stuck. Maybe the owner knew these guys were breaking in and out, blocked him in there, knowing that they couldn't get out that way. Won't admit it, knowing what happened. But I'm pretty sure this person killed him and shoved him in there. I'm almost certain of it. No cod, Hiawatha. Nope, mostly trout. He thought it was inside the chimney. He thought the money was in the chimney? Why would anybody store money in an abandoned cabin? Yeah, what are you referring to, Hugh? Let's get a little context going here. Was he possibly at the cabin fearing being hunted? Cartel, any legal problems? Nope. Just a young kid, turned 18. Nice neighborhood. Upscale, even. He was only 2 blocks from his house. Definitely an isolated incident, in my opinion. But you guys will talk about all that. All right. Body of 18-year-old missing for 7 years, found in the chimney of an abandoned cabin less than 1 mile from his house. So here's some bullet points here. Joshua Vernon Maddux, 18, vanished in May 2018 in Woodland, Colorado. His remains were found in a cabin in Woodland Park last month by construction workers who were tearing it down. Okay, so I think these pieces of information right here are going to be important later on. The knees were above the head and the legs dislodged, reports said. And he was also in the fetal position. So how is he in the fetal position and his knees above his head? Well, it would make sense if his legs. What do they mean dislodged? Is that the same thing as dislocated? Like dislodged from what? The socket or from some position in the chimney? I'm confused by that. Police have ruled the death as an accident and suspect that Maddux climbed down the chimney and became stuck. The cabin's owner said he checked on the vacant property occasionally and noticed a bad smell, but thought rodents had died in there. See, I don't think the owner's leaving his money in a rodent-infested cabin in the chimney. Joshua's father said the teenager had experienced 2 difficult years before he vanished due to the suicide of his older brother, Zachary. Their sister, Kate, admitted she had been hoping Josh would return home to my father's house at any time with a wife and small children. So they expected, hey, he's 18 now. You know, he's off to pursue his dreams. Yeah, the friend is definitely sus. I think the friend is responsible for his death, honestly. Yeah, Hiawatha. That's what I was thinking. 2 tragedies. Feel for the sister, too. Absolutely no real investigation done, Radar. Nothing. No fingerprints, no interviews, no asking the friends who is he with, no follow-ups on, those answers, nothing. What's up, Freckled? What's up, Radar? Joy always crack me up. Cruising to Mardi Gras. Nice. Be safe. Hugh, the rebar and mesh had rusted and easily pulled out. You think so? How did they find him? Anyone, please. They were demolishing, getting ready to build a new home on top of the property. Something much nicer, like a single family dwelling. And during the demolition, they found him in there. Apparently, knees above the head, feet facing down in the fetal position. Now, how the hell why would he put himself in that kind of a position? And I mean, I guess you could get stuck, maybe? I don't know. Good, Sparky, good. Well, if that POI was around, shouldn't they look into the brother's death by... Yes, I was thinking the same thing, Boston. I was thinking the same thing. I was trying to find some information on what actually may have happened to him. Because it looks like we got a sadistic killer on the loose. Well, he's in prison now. Thank you, Hugh. Yeah, me too. Seems like he was shoved in there. Sorry to hear that, Sparky. Hang in there. Sensi, what if he did it for a drunk bet dare? Well, I think somebody would have went and said something. Yeah, dislodged. His legs were dislodged. So dislodged from what? Dislocated from the socket or dislodged from what? He's in a chimney. What would he where should they be? You know? Slatherings. I would think humans and rodents put off different levels of smell. Yeah, I guarantee that they do, but it kind of goes back to that. I think I see a mannequin, you know. The first thing that pops into your mind is not a dead human. He just knows he smells death, you know. There's death in the air. Yep, no investigation whatsoever. Why would one bend themselves like that? Nah, he was put in. Either he was shoved in there or somehow he got stuck and wedged or maybe he wasn't stuck like that. He was kind of stuck in there some way, and then when he finally passed out, he just kind of fell that way maybe. I'm not sure. What's up, Donna? Yikes. 24-hour shift. That's crazy. Hiawatha says, I don't understand. Why did they think it was an accident? Well, he didn't have any cuts on him. He didn't have any stab wounds, or it didn't look like he had been attacked. But then again, like, you think after 7 years, how would you really know? I don't know. I feel like it was just hard for them to tell. And it's been so long. They were just kind of like, really, there's nothing for us to do. I think a couple interviews could have helped. You know, who were you with before, who was he with before he went missing? They would have said, oh, he was with this Andrew person. Oh, well, Andrew's a convicted cold-blooded murderer. And he was last seen with him? Wow, that's interesting. Oh, okay. Tissue has deteriorated and the socket has fallen out of its normal placement. Okay, that makes sense. So considering the time has passed, some deterioration and the legs are out of the socket now. That makes sense. Sensei, position could have been leaning back against one side and pressing legs against the side. All right. Let me do let's get through these articles and gather these the facts here. Hopefully I can read. My throat is a little scratchy. The remains of 18-year-old man reported missing 7 years ago were found in the chimney of an abandoned cabin less than a mile from his home, but the details of his death are likely to stay mysterious, Colorado officials said Wednesday. The body of Joshua Vernon Maddux was discovered last month when contractors tore down the historic cabin on a property called Thunderhead Ranch in Woodland Park, Teller County. It had been empty for more than a decade. Authorities had to use dental records to identify the remains of those of Maddux, who was reported missing in May of 2008, but not as a runaway. Who was tall and skinny, was probably trying to shimmy down the chimney when he got stuck, Teller County Coroner Al Bourne said. There was a wood burning insert in the chimney that, had someone climbed in from above, they wouldn't have been able to crawl back up, according to the Gazette. The construction workers who found the body said a large piece of furniture was blocking the fireplace, so Maddux would not have been able to access the chimney from there, or to have exited it from there. Maddox's death was ruled accidental, and there were no signs of trauma, Bourne said. It appears to have been a voluntary act to gain access to the building, he added. However, it is unclear how long Maddox's remains had been in the chimney. There are going to be some questions out there that are unanswerable, Bourne admitted. Family members say Josh was bright, a talented musician, and doing well in school, and they are not sure why he was at the cabin. According to the Pikes Peak Courier, his older brother Zachary had killed himself 2 years before Josh went missing. Their father Mike, who spoke to the Courier after Joshua's body was found but not yet identified, said, "I got up one morning and Josh was there. Then he just never came home. The next day he still didn't come home. I called all his friends. Nobody's seen him. Nobody knows where he is. I didn't know what to do, so I called the police. He went missing on May 8th. I called the police May 13th. It is not known if Zachary's death had any bearing on Josh's disappearance. Mr. Maddux, who has 2 daughters, Kate and Ruth, said, I buried his older brother 2 years before, and it was so difficult on Josh. When his brother died, I pushed him over the edge. It pushed him over the edge. It was a big shock for the family and a big shock for Josh. He thought highly of his older brother. It's tough as a parent. You try to raise your kids, and when they get close to 18, you think they're pretty much grown up, but they're not. They still need a lot of help. He said the family had searched for Josh for years. Because he was 18 at the time, he vanished. Police said there was no reason to suspect a crime, so he was listed as missing. Josh's sister Kate posted an online tribute to her brother after his body was identified. She wrote on the News of Woodland Park website, "Sometimes in your life, our stories don't have happy endings. I'm sorry to say that this is one of those stories. Since Josh was 18, it has been reasonable to assume he may have decided to leave town to start a new life. As one of his 2 older sisters, I have always chosen to believe that this was the case. I've expected Josh to return home to my father's house at any time with a wife and small children so that they can meet their grandparents and 2 aunts. Josh has always been known for his musical and literary talent, so maybe we would find him playing music with a band on tour or catch him writing successful novels under a pen name so that he could keep his preferred lifestyle of solitude in the woods." She then explains the circumstances in which his body was found and adds, "This is certainly not the outcome that Maddux family and my brother Josh's many friends and loved ones were hoping for. We are, however, eternally grateful for the opportunity to finally provide Josh with the proper memorial service he deserves and to finally lay Josh to rest." Meanwhile, his other sister Ruth wrote, "He was my best friend and he always inspired me to strive for greatness. Josh would tell me that one should never say anything bad about anyone else, ever. And I tried to be more like him. Josh was one of the nicest people I had ever met, and I am very proud to be his sister." The cabin's owner, Chuck Murphy, told the Gazette that his parents had bought the property 60 years ago. It was formerly a homestead of the Thunderhead Ranch. which was infamous for illegal gambling and wild parties. Murphy's brother used to live there before it was turned into a rental property, said Chuck. No one had lived there for at least 10 years, he added. He said he occasionally checked on the property and had noticed a bad smell, but thought rodents had died in there. He did not think to check the chimney because of the piece of furniture blocking the fireplace. Murphy, who owns Murphy Constructors, is redeveloping the site into 32 single family homes. The cabin was fully demolished after police finished their investigation into Maddux's death. What investigation? Dislodged from the chimney. Yeah, it'd be hard for me to go to sleep at that time, knowing I got to wake back up. It's almost worth it just to stay up. Yeah, very strange. We're going to get into the details. Yeah, that's right, Sparky. That's what Freckled was saying. Once his sockets became dislodged, gravity probably did all kinds of stuff to the placement of the bones. That's what I'm thinking. He may appear shoved because gravity might have eventually shoved him. So that is a good theory. The only question is, how the hell did he get into the chimney? The owner says he couldn't have got in from the top, and he couldn't have got in from inside because it was blocked. All right, because of time, and I want to get into this POI, we'll read one more article. Why did 20 other stupid people found in the chimneys? Oh, yeah, there are a lot of cases of people getting stuck in the chimney. But they're usually breaking into homes where people are living there. You know, they're trying to break in or escape. There was a case that I found. I was going to put a whole bunch of them together so we could look at them, but there was one where this guy, he had already broken into the home, him and a couple other guys, and they stole everything. All the TVs, they stole some furniture, you know, they cleaned the house out. But before the last guy could get out of there, the cop showed up. So he ran up into the chimney and got stuck trying to hide. Thank you, Slatherings. Yeah, if you guys could hit that like button. Catch up on the chat real quick, and then we'll continue. There's a lot of cases of people getting stuck in a chimney. But usually they're like meth heads. This is some smart young kid with no real reason to do it. Slatherings, is it possible he went to get in the chimney and fell? And that's why he was in. Yeah, it could be that too. But the owner says that the top of the chimney was covered with rebarb, but that it was hard to verify that because they had already done some demolition on it. So I don't know if there's a way to prove it. Well, I guess we could do this. We'll read this article after we take a look at the property. Hopefully I bookmarked it. Okay, so this is what it looks like now. So I think the cabin was like right here. So let's go check out 2012 before it was demolished. There it is. Nice little neighborhood. Lots of chimney calls. Yeah, have you ever seen a normal person stuck in a chimney? Let's talk about those cases. How many of those folks had all of their teeth? Slatherings, I assume no one knows when the furniture was put in front of the fireplace. So that could have been like that beforehand. Well, the thing is remember his clothes. His clothes are inside the cabin on the outside of that piece of furniture. So their story is, for whatever reason, he got undressed, placed his clothes on the floor, went outside, and came in through the top. Yeah, these are kind of nice, huh? I like these little houses. Just go check out the surrounding neighborhood here. Yeah, see, this is a nice, quiet little neighborhood. You know, walking through here. What is he doing at this little cabin over here? Sounds miserable. I just hope he didn't die in the chimney. Be slow and agonizing. Radar says that sounds sus. If a couch, it wasn't a couch. It was like a, I don't know. The way they described was kind of like an armoire, or maybe like a console. Whatever it was attached to the wall at one point. Yeah, it's a horrible thought. Christian, if the POI stuffed him in there, I bet he's done that same thing before. Yeah, he actually has. He even told somebody that he shoved him in a hole. He told a mutual friend that I put him in a hole. His pants were outside of the fireplace, inside of the cabin. Yeah, it looks pretty new, huh? I wonder if it's all new. Let's do this. Let's go back to 2012. Yeah, they're building. These are all newer. This one doesn't look new. Looks like these ones were already here. And then there's another neighborhood right here. Little duplexes. Hmm. Okay, troubling questions still surround the shocking death of 18-year-old Josh Maddux, whose mummified corpse was discovered August 7th deep in the chimney of a vacant cabin being demolished by workers. Maddux had walked away from his Woodland Park home on May 8th, 2008 and vanished. On Monday, September 28th, Teller County Coroner Al Bourne ruled Maddox's death an accident, saying the 6-foot-tall, 150-pound teen had slid down the chimney, Santa Claus style. 3 days later, Bourne reopened his investigation after the cabin owner, Colorado Springs builder Chuck Murphy, came forward with details about the chimney that he says makes the accidental death theory impossible. Bourne's re-examination also followed calls to his office from tipsters offering the names of people who allegedly had bragged about killing Maddux in the cabin. After a 2-hour meeting on Friday, Bourne and Murphy emerged with the vastly different opinions of the case, agreeing only that no one will ever probably know exactly what Maddux died or why Maddux died or how he ended up in the chimney. Murphy remains convinced Maddux was murdered, either forced up the chimney alive, trapped there and left to die, or was killed in the cabin and his remains forced through the damper and into the smoke chamber just above the fireplace. And we'll take a look at that here in a second. Murphy has wavered from his immediate opinion after his workers made the chilling discovery August 7th, as they used an excavator to peel open the chimney, one of two in the century-old cabin. Murphy, 80, said it was impossible for anyone to slide down the chimney because a heavy steel mesh grate was installed near the top of the chimney when it was built 25 years ago. It was an addition to the original cabin, which was part of the Big Bergstrom's notorious Thunderherd Dining, drinking and gambling casino, and operated from 1930s to the 50s along Rampart Range Road on Woodland Park's north side. It was a heavy wire grate, a wire mesh, installed across the chimney about one row of bricks from the top, Murphy said. We didn't want trouble with raccoons and things getting in the chimney. Murphy is convinced the mesh remained intact and prevented anyone from sliding down the chimney. But investigators didn't see it when they responded to the call of the body because his crew had already tossed it in the truck. They were just gathering up all the steel, angle iron, and things as part of the demolition, Murphy said. They had no idea the mesh had any significance. But there are even more disturbing questions, Murphy said, that debunk the chimney theory. The mystery deepened further when investigators found most of Maddox's clothing next to the hearth. He was mostly naked inside the chimney, Murphy said. He was only wearing his thermal shirt, no pants, no shoes or socks. Murphy said It's ridiculous to think a teen stripped down to just his shirt, climbed up on the roof, up on the chimney, and slid down, knowing he'd be trapped. He said Maddux knew he'd be trapped because there was a steel heatilator insert in the fireplace, and a large, heavy wooden breakfast bar had been ripped from the wall and dragged from the kitchen and placed across the front of the fireplace, blocking it. It's a real conundrum, Murphy said. A tragic, terrible story. All I know is he did not go down that chimney. He got in the fireplace and went up. But why? I think it will remain a mystery, one of those sad stories. Bourne acknowledged the questions are compelling, but he concluded late Friday the proper cause of death ruling remained accidental, caused by sliding down the chimney and becoming trapped. Bourne said he likely died of hypothermia. Temperatures May 8th through the 10th in 2008 dipped into the high 20s, according to historic data at Weather Underground. We've come up with the most plausible explanation, and it will remain an accident, Bourne said. He did come down the chimney. That's our conclusion. But what about the clothes inside the cabin, and the breakfast bar blocking the fireplace, and the heavy steel grate blocking the chimney? We looked at photos, we talked to Chuck Murphy about his memory of the chimney construction, and we took everything into consideration, Bourne said. And we still have no evidence of a homicide. Still, Bourne said there were not good explanations for all the questions raised. The furniture in front of the fireplace, we can't answer that question, he said. It would have trapped him in the firebox. But there's no evidence he was ever in the firebox or went up the chimney. As for the steel grate at the top of the chimney, Bourne said it could have disintegrated over the years due to rust and corrosion from creosote building up on it and effects of rain and snow. Or a chimney sweep may have removed it. Nobody saw the metal mesh, Bourne said. We didn't see it in any of our photos. It may have disappeared. And there is no explanation for why Maddux may have been stripped to just a shirt, climbed the roof, and dropped down a chimney he knew was blocked. This one really taxed our brains, Bourne said. We found his clothes just outside of the firebox. He only had on a thermal t-shirt. We don't know why he took his clothes off, took his shoes and socks off, and went outside, climbed on the roof, and went down the chimney. It was not linear thinking. It's a real puzzler. The coroner said the autopsy found no evidence of illegal drugs, although testing was made difficult by the advanced state of decomposition. We found no indication of drugs, and according to the family, he was not into using drugs. To suspect a crime, Bourne said investigators needed to find evidence like duct tape, ropes, may have bound him, or signs in the suit of the firebox showing footprints or other marks of a body being stuffed up it. It would take at least two people to move him into position he was in, as neatly packaged as he was inside the chamber, Bourne said. If there were more people involved, he would absolutely no clues. We have absolutely no clues. Unless something else comes forward that would change the whole situation, that's where we're at. Like somebody coming forward saying that somebody said they shoved him in a hole. Others have come forward with names of suspects, including long circulating rumors of a man who bragged he killed Maddux. Bourne said police detectives confirmed the man had a history of violence and a long criminal record. In fact, he is in prison in Texas and spent time in jail in Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, and was in trouble in New Mexico. But authorities can't positively place him in Woodland Park when Maddux disappeared. The same is true for at least one other suspect, who Bourne said would be too small to have killed Maddux and disposed of his body in the chimney alone. There's a lot of hearsay that this person was the last one to see him and that kind of thing, Bourne said. But they can't give me times and specifics, and we can't generate stuff that goes back 7 years. These theories could only make sense if it was multiple men involved. Okay, well, maybe there were. Bourne said all the theories and speculation are meaningless without evidence and facts to support them, leaving him with few choices. I know it's not a natural death, and I'm confident it's not suicide, he said. My other options are an accidental death, homicide, and undetermined cause of death. It is frustrating. We can't pin it down. So I don't know. I feel like the coroners can't just say, well, yeah, it looks suspicious, so, you know, we're going to just keep it as undetermined. If they don't see anything indicating murder, they can't go with that. But according to this, they left it on the table. Yep, definitely visible from the road. Thank you, Sparky. Hey, what's up, Chopper? What do you think about this case, man? And they ruled out suicide. You think it's possible he did it knowing that he couldn't get out? Like knowing, like, hey, once I'm in here, that's it. I just don't see anybody doing that. Picking the most horrible way ever to die. That's a good point, Slatherings. Yeah, the clothes thing is weird unless someone else got in the chimney and then he got stuck and the other person tried to pull him out. It's funny because they mentioned another person, POI, and I'm not sure who that is. But they said he was very small. Would be too small to have killed Maddux and disposed of his body in the chimney. So what if your theory is correct, what if it was the small guy who made it through and while trying to pull him down, you know, he's taking off his clothes? Nothing. It doesn't make sense. The only thing that makes sense is he was murdered and somebody shoved him up into the chimney and then blocked it and went on their way. Okay, here was a Reddit post from one of Joshua's school friends. It says here, I went to high school with the skinny, dorky hippie named Andy. Now, Andy is the POI we're getting ready to talk about, who played guitar in a band. I was never good friends with him or anything, but a year or so after I graduated, one of my good friends, Josh Maddux, started hanging out with him and then went missing. Last I heard, Andy was telling another friend, yeah, me and Josh have been spending a lot of time together. We're planning a trip to New Mexico. Didn't really think anything of it until somebody showed me these articles. So here's a picture of Andrew. Andrew Newman. What's up, rapper? You got bars? I got bars for days. Medicinal mushrooms. I call them magic mushrooms. Beth says maybe he moved the couch there thinking he'd fall straight through to the ground. Yeah, what the hell was he doing? I can't make sense of it. Yeah, word of mouth kind of thing. I put him in a hole. Yeah, he was in a hole. I mean, that's pretty much what a chimney is. Very sus. All right, let's learn a little bit about this character here. It's another image of him. Just keeps getting uglier. Okay. So we read that, the coroner's report. Let's go. Let's look at the discrepancies. Many locals had issues with the coroner's report, including the family. Chuck questioned the coroner's conclusion of accidental death as the chimney had been built 20 years before. During its construction, it had been fitted with a thick wire mesh hung from steel hooks, used to keep animals and debris from becoming lodged inside the chimney or from entering the cabin itself. Murphy said it was a heavy wire grate, a wire mesh. I installed it across the chimney about 1 row of bricks from the top. We didn't want trouble with raccoons and things getting into the chimney. All right, so we read that. Josh's body had also been found in a fetal position, with his legs above his head and disjointed from his torso. To have gotten into such a position, he would have had to have entered the chimney head first. Oh, so his head was down. Okay, so let me see. With his legs above his head. Okay, so he was head down then, right? Is that what I'm reading here? So he's head down in the fetal position and his feet are up. So that's why his knees are above his head, because he's upside down. That makes sense now. This was a fairly unusual position, and Bourne had earlier commented that he thought it would have taken 2 people to position him in such a fashion. What was even stranger was that when Josh's body had been found, he was wearing only a thin thermal shirt. His clothes had actually been found inside the cabin, folded up next to the fireplace. Bourne said of this evidence, "This one really taxed our brains. We found his clothing just outside of the firebox. He only had on a thermal t-shirt. We don't know why he took his clothes off, took his shoes and socks off, and why he went outside, climbed on the roof, and went down the chimney. It was not linear thinking." The revised autopsy report said that the cause of death was accidental death, murder, or undetermined causes, Bourne said. We've come up with the most plausible explanation, and it will remain an accident. He did come down the chimney. That's our conclusion, Murphy said. There's no way that guy crawled inside that chimney with that steel webbing. He didn't come down the chimney, and he remained convinced that Josh's death had been no accident, adding he was only wearing his thermal shirt, no pants, no shoes, or socks. Murphy said it was ridiculous to think that the teen stripped down just his shirt, climbed up on the roof, and then the chimney and slid down knowing he'd be trapped. All right. Theories on Josh Maddux' death and Andy Newman link. The police received several anonymous tips suggesting leads and naming suspects that had bragged of killing Josh. One such suspect was now incarcerated in a Texas jail and had previous time in Seattle and Portland prisons with a long history of violent crime. One tip-off had informed the police that this man had been seen with Josh. When speaking of the man, Al Bourne said, "They can't give me times and specifics, and we can't generate stuff that goes back 7 years. Why not?" Bourne also doubted that the man would have been able to put Josh in the chimney alone. Wouldn't have, I think is what they meant to say. In 2015, a post on Reddit in 2015 gave a name to the suspect just mentioned. The post said, "I went to school with the skinny dorky hippie named Andy and played guitar in a band. I was never good friends with him or anything, but a year or so after I graduated, one of my good friends, Josh, started hanging out with him and then went missing." Turns out that in addition to becoming a lot scarier looking, Andy had indeed headed down to Mexico, where he found himself shooting the shit with the caretaker of a disabled guy and got invited over to their apartment. caretaker gets in the shower, and when he comes back out, the disabled guy is stabbed to death and Andy's gone. When Andy got arrested, he also claimed to have killed a woman in Taos and stuffed her body in a barrel. So it seems to be his MO, right? Stuffing bodies and things. The cops had indeed found a woman stuffed in a barrel in Taos, but already had somebody in custody. What the hell? Already had somebody in custody for it and decided to stick with that guy instead. Years later, I found out that the caretaker had died in a bar fight, and without him, the cops didn't have much in the way of evidence somehow. So that case against Andy was dropped too. Wow, he got away with 2 murders. Several of us went to the cops saying, yo, Josh, who went missing, was last seen with Andy, who's a murderer. Maybe you should check that out. Despite a fair amount of pestering, nothing ever really came of it. And by nothing, I mean that the police mostly didn't even return our calls. And once accidentally canceled the bulletin on Josh because he's alive and well and living in the next town over. He wasn't. He was actually in the chimney of an abandoned cabin like 2 blocks from his parents' house. The coroner said the body had been there for about 7 years and ruled the death accidental. So I found something else on this character here. This one's a lot shorter. This will be the last one we look at, and then we'll go into how the hell he possibly could fit in that chimney. This one is titled New Mexico Murder Suspect Captured in Texas County. A man wanted for murder in New Mexico has been taken into custody in Texas County. Sheriff Carl Watson says Andrew R. Newman, 21, was wandering around the county for about 4 days and going door to door in the Houston area asking for food and water. A resident told the sheriff that he came home and found Newman alone in his house with his 15-year-old son and 17-year-old daughter acting strangely. Watson says the man told Newman he would drive him to the next county, but instead drove him to the sheriff's office. Good one. When authorities ran Newman's fingerprints through the AFIS, the automated fingerprint identification system, they got a hit. Newman's fingerprints matched other fingerprint evidence that was left at the crime scene of a fatal stabbing in Albuquerque on May 2nd, 2009. Now, I mean, that's just shortly after Josh went missing and a burglary in Seattle. Authorities believe Newman lived a kind of nomad lifestyle, wandering around the country by jumping trains. Watson says that police in Kabul and other parts of the county ran into Newman several times, and during every encounter, he gave cops a different name, but had not broken the law. Albuquerque Police Public Information Officer Nadine Hamby says that the caretaker of an invalid man, James Walito, had become friends with Newman and told the transient that whenever he was in town, he could stay with them. Hamby says Walito left Newman and the incapacitated man in the living room while he went to take a shower. When he returned, the man that he took care of was dead on the couch from a stab wound, and Newman was gone. Newman allegedly told authorities that he is responsible for killing a woman and stuffing her body in a barrel in Taos, New Mexico. However, authorities in Taos say they have already made an arrest in that case. Newman, who has a criminal history in at least 6 states, is fighting extradition back to New Mexico. So what do you guys think about Andrew Newman? Man. I mean, he might be responsible for this murder. Yeah, something's wrong here. Yeah, I'm going to pull it up here so we can get a better idea of what might have happened. I put something together. I'm just waiting for my program to load up right now. Little paint shop program. He was 6 foot, 150 pounds, long and skinny. Yeah, not rebar. Sorry, guys. I had that part wrong. Shadowbox, I just saw a members option in Oklahoma Girl Scout murders. I'd love to discuss that one. Yeah, make sure you guys vote on it. I'll probably pick 2 topics. It looks like it's going to be Delphi and the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders for members meeting later today. And I have looked into the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders previously, so I do have a little bit of information on that already. I don't know. I don't know, Radar. All right, here we go. Okay, so the way they explained it, he was right in this area. Just past the damper in the smoke chamber. And there was something blocking, piece of furniture blocking the entrance, and his clothes were laid out right out here. So I was playing with this a little bit earlier, but now I believe he was upside down. Like this. So I don't know how the hell this happened. Maybe like that? Lisa, what's up? No fibers on the clothing? Well, they really didn't do an investigation. I think without being able to determine whether he was stabbed or tied up or something like that, they said, well, he most likely climbed in there. Yeah, 7 years is a long time to be stuck right there. It would really be hard to tell anything, really. No, I think this is an isolated incident. But I guess this brings another question. How could one person shove another person up like that? I mean, I guess it's possible, right? He was only 150 pounds. This was in Colorado. Yeah, if he had help, it would definitely be a lot easier. You think he was trying to escape? Maybe somebody was keeping him prisoner. What if he was being like sexually assaulted and kept prisoner there in this little fireplace area? Just block him in with a piece of furniture and lock it in place. Boston says he had music in his life, wouldn't have done this to himself, right? No, that's not true because a lot of musicians take that road. Sometimes music just intensifies what we're going through. The only problem with the previous theory is if the first guy made it, then why not just unlock the door for the second person if that was the issue? Yeah, why would you even go through the chimney? I mean, you could just easily bust out one of the windows and you're in. Jimmy the door open? So I think if you did shove somebody up feet first, eventually you would just kind of have to wedge them in here. They're just going to fill up the empty space the more you push. Yeah, it was a breakfast bar. They keep talking about a couch because early on I said furniture. But yeah, it was a breakfast bar that was ripped from the wall and placed in front of the fireplace. Now, why was that done? To me, it seems like the only reason you would do something like that is to conceal what you just shoved in there. Yeah, I don't think they know exactly when it was put there. But nobody's lived there for 10 years. So that would have been 2 years. It would have been vacant for 2 years before he went missing. Yeah, he does look angry. Head down, feet up, knees above the head. Do we have it right? In the fetal position. Oh, I remember that case. Kendrick Johnson. Yeah, that's another strange case. Very suspicious. Yeah, Slathering. They didn't do a good investigation on this at all. You know, they just said, "Oh, well, this was a vacant place and the kid must have tried to slide down the chimney to gain access." Okay, why the hell would he do that? In my opinion, this is where he would meet up with that kid. They would meet up, maybe even talk about music. And if they were getting ready to head out to New Mexico, maybe somehow Joshua had some put some money together. You know, maybe he had a couple $100 and he's like, "All right, let's go. Let's hit the road, man." He's like, "No, I'm going to hit the road." Because he sounds like he most likely is a complete psychopath. Lisa says, sounds like he got stuck and took his clothes off trying to help himself. That's what I originally thought. And that could be the case. I think what Slatherings is trying to say is that could be the case, right? You have a dead person in the chimney, clothes are on the ground, and let's say you have another person sneak into the home and start moving stuff around, not really paying attention to the clothes. But the truth is they would smell the fireplace. Is that what they were trying to conceal, maybe? Trying to block that smell? They thought something like a raccoon or something was in there? I can't make any sense of this. I feel like he was shoved in there and somebody blocked the chimney. And Lisa, if his clothes were folded, this could be a suicide. Maybe he knew he would he would die of hypothermia. I'm not sure. The folding of the clothes and all that stuff is just a little bit strange. Maybe he was hoping somebody would find him. Just outside of the fireplace. Oops, sorry. So right here, the hearth, it was found on the hearth, folded. So you have a piece of furniture here and folded clothes right next to it. Hey, what's up, Humanimal? On the young boy who was missing for ages, found across the street down the chimney. Poor boy. He died horribly and was so close to home. Yeah, very tragic. And it's still a mystery. I mean, I can't make any sense of it. I feel like he was shoved. Because I don't know anybody who's going to come down a chimney face first, unless he was thrown down the chimney. But how are they going to carry the body up on top of the roof? It makes more sense that he was shoved from right here. Put the feet in first and then just keep pushing until you reach this ledge right here. Put the feet up here. Get underneath the person, and then if you go up in the chimney and you can see that you have this ledge here, you would know all you got to do is push up to this point. And it almost seems like the person would get caught right on that. What's that thing called? The smoke shelf or the damper? If they were folded, then that would indicate someone else was there. I doubt he could fold his own clothes inside a chimney and then get him outside of that piece of furniture. But somebody did make a comment like a dare, maybe on a dare. But why would you go head first, though? Man, I'm telling you guys, I can't make sense of this one. Hey, what's up, Dawn? Sparky. Oh, I love Taos too. Great little town. I've been to the hot springs too, right outside of the city limits. All right, guys. Let me know what you think. We are out of time. So if you guys could pretty please hit the like button on the way out, I would appreciate it. Replay crew, let me know what you thought about Joshua's case. If you can make any sense to it. Do you feel like there was foul play or just a horrible mistake? Yeah, Andy Newman seems to be the prime suspect if he was killed. Yep, he was there and went off, said he was going to leave to New Mexico with Josh. Well, of course, Josh never made it because he was, died in a chimney. But Josh would go on to go to New Mexico. While he was there, only for a short while, He killed somebody brutally. So if that's not suspicious, I don't know what is. Not to mention there's a witness that says that this Andy Newman character put him in a hole, shoved him in a hole. I mean, this looks like a lot like being shoved in a hole. Not quite a hole, but definitely being shoved. Thank you, Julia. All right, guys, we are officially sponsored. Thank you, Julia. This is a great case. Thanks for recommending it. Replay crew, let me know what you think about this case. Leave a comment. If you're checking out my channel for the first time, consider subscribing. If you're already subscribed, consider becoming a member. We actually have a meeting today at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Not quite sure what that time is for the rest of the world. Slathering says, I wonder if there's enough room there for him to reposition himself and try to climb down. Okay, I see what you're saying. So he comes down feet first is what you're saying. And then once he's on the smoke shelf, he tries to reposition himself to kind of get down. Honestly, it looks like all he would have to do is land on his feet right here. Right? You land on your feet and then just kind of stretch around this part. You would turn around and face this wall here to the right and then ease your way down. Good to see you, Brad. Why would he take his clothes off if he was inside already to climb down? The only thing I can think of is maybe he thought he needed just a little bit more room. Like all he needs is a little bit more room and he might be able to wiggle down. Because I could see at some point you're going to get desperate. You know? But it doesn't make sense that his clothes are folded. Yeah, Sparky, I don't think he was alive either. I think he was killed, most likely strangled or smothered. His clothes being off most likely was part of a sexual encounter. Maybe part of him being lured, maybe. I don't know. This is another mystery. Good to see you, Willow. What's up, Ruckus? How you doing? What do you think, Ruckus? What the hell you think's happened here? Oh, sorry, I'm on mute. I mean, some suicides are really strange. They do a lot of weird stuff. But like folding the clothes, why would you even take off your clothes? Unless you want it to be cold. It just doesn't make any sense. But members, we're going to close down that poll in probably about an hour, and hopefully we can put together a good little members live stream, so make sure you guys participate in that. The original one that I posted, I made it public. So I was like, wait a minute, why is there 100 votes on here? So I apologize, we had to redo it. Yeah, I like that theory, Slatherings. Unless, again, there was somebody who came in after 7 years and folded them, not knowing there was a body in there. Yeah. But then we got to consider the smell. Yeah, I can't make sense of it, Hiawatha. I'm going to give a shout out to Julia and Sparky Doo for sponsoring today's live stream. Thank you, guys. And that is it. That's all we have on this case. Like I said, we're going to cover 20 cases for True Crime in the Morning. This was episode 19. And then we're going to review a couple of those cases. Hey, Richard, good to see you, my friend. What do you think, Richard? Were you able to make any sense of this? All right, members, I'll see you guys later. The rest of you guys who are watching, thanks for hanging out. And I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Peace.